Bitcoin is about to break through 100,000 to the downside.
Billionaires and trillionaires are trying to push Bitcoin's price down. Like here, Chamath Palihapitiya saying this: Bitcoin needs to crash another 10%. Unbelievable.
If you look at some of these other markets, it's really incredible. Bitcoin is about to break through 100,000 to the downside, which I think is a psychological barrier that probably has another 5 or 10% more to run. There's a dispersion happening in the Mag 7 as of this past quarter earnings. So I think all of it has to get sorted out.
This is what he won't tell you. Bitcoin is the first asset class in the world where retail had a 15-year head start to accumulate before Wall Street. Wall Street is only now getting in. Of course, we know that Chamath Palihapitiya was early to Bitcoin back in the day, but also sold early, and he regrets selling. Perhaps this is the real reason why he's trying to crash the price.
You know what I think about? I actually think about all the Bitcoin I sold.
Oof. Yeah,
I had Bitcoin. I had a bunch of Bitcoin in my funds when I managed outside capital.
Bitcoin and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill. Okay? We are entering a completely world of uncharted water right now.
Have you made any investments in Bitcoin?
So, I own Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund. I own Bitcoin in my private account. It is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal.
That's a $3 or $4 billion mistake in growing now, because my partners at the time capitulated and I wanted to be a good team member, and we distributed and it was profitable. But obviously I shouldn't have sold it. Would have made them a lot more money.
Do you think Bitcoin's price falls another 10% like Chamath is predicting? It might not happen because of this. This is what Chamath won't tell you on his tech and finance podcast. One, that SoFi just became the first nationally chartered U.S. bank to launch Bitcoin and crypto trading services. This means you can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana from the exact same account you have as your checking and savings account. As Chamath himself would say, this is a huge deal, a sign the floodgates are opening up.
It is a very big deal. It's a big day and a big milestone. Reverses the course of time.
It does.
We've wanted to be a one-stop shop for all your financial services needs, and one of the holes we've had for the last 2 years was in cryptocurrency, the ability to buy, sell, and hold crypto. We were not allowed to do that as a bank. It was not permissible. But in March of this year, the OCC came out with an interpretive letter that it's now permissible for banks like SoFi to offer cryptocurrencies. So this morning we're launching, as the only national bank, the first and only national bank, the opportunity to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana.
The financial world is opening up to crypto in such a big way. Understand the before versus after moment that we're living through right now. The biggest financial shift is happening now with crypto, like case in point what's going on in the mortgage market. Mortgage brokers are opening up to crypto in such a big way because, as Cynthia Loomis says here, it just makes sense. This is just the start.
The vast majority of people who own digital assets are people who are also first-time home buyers. And in this environment, buying a home is almost cost prohibitive. What we're trying to allow people to do is when they show their net worth for purposes of qualifying for a loan, that their digital assets be included as assets on their balance sheet. So they have that equity to prove up their worthiness of having a home mortgage.
Bitcoin OTC desks are plummeting like never before. There isn't enough Bitcoin. And do you know why this is happening? Michael Saylor explains why this is all happening here. Everyone around the world is getting off zero as it pertains to Bitcoin because they're realizing that Bitcoin is the best investment versus everything else. It's like a digital monopoly, so you need to get off zero. Michael Saylor explains here.
You can raise money to launch a restaurant or a hotel chain or one of 18,000 software companies, and they're all very competitive businesses, or the next one of 5,000 banks or 5,000 insurance companies or whatever you want. The failure rate on a business is 95 to 99% over a decade. eventually, if you're not Microsoft or Google or Amazon or Meta, if you're not a digital monopoly, you're running up against them. 27,000 retailers fail. Walmart powers forward. Amazon wins. That's the story of retail, right? Hotel. Every hotel company is a failure, right? Marriott doesn't own hotels. Four Seasons doesn't own hotels. Hilton doesn't own hotels. They all have management contracts. Why? Because the hotel business doesn't make money. Right? Restaurant. McDonald's is a REIT. They don't run restaurants. Their business consists of getting other people to invest in the restaurant because they know it's not going to work. You're a software business, you're competing against Microsoft. They have monopoly. Microsoft's more powerful than the United States is. You could more easily leave the United States than you could exit the Microsoft network of your corporation. So if you're running an operating business, it's very, very difficult. So what do you want? You want a monopoly. You want a digital monopoly. Okay, Bitcoin is a digital monopoly. It's a digital monopoly on money. It's the most powerful digital monopoly. So anytime you buy Bitcoin, you're merging your company with the digital monopoly, growing 30% a year, unstoppable, that's global.
Ethereum exchange reserves are dropping even more rapidly now. There is an Ethereum supply shock happening. The world is waking up to the value prop that Ethereum is. I think Ethereum more than doubles between now and January. Tom Lee explains why you should be buying ETH.
How far do you think we get on Bitcoin by the end of the year?
Well, I think people have dampened their expectations for Bitcoin partly because Bitcoin's been treading water. And there have been a lot of OGs, original Bitcoiners that are selling above 100,000. But it is still an underallocated asset class. So I think Bitcoin actually potentially can get to the high 100,000s, maybe even 200,000 by the end of the year. I think it's a big ask. But to me, what's more obvious is Ethereum can have a huge move into year end, because even Cathie Wood wrote about it. She thinks stable coins have been cannibalizing demand for Bitcoin, and gold and tokenized gold is cannibalizing demand for Bitcoin. But stable coins and tokenized gold run on smart contract blockchains like Ethereum, and Wall Street is building, and Larry Fink wants to tokenize everything on Wall Street, on the blockchain. That means Ethereum is where people are starting to raise their growth expectations. And if you're raising your growth expectations, then your discount to the future is going up. So I think that there's a bigger move in Ethereum. And Mark Newton, our head of technical strategy, thinks we can be like 9,000 to 12,000 by January. I think that's about right. I think Ethereum, just 3,600 more than doubles between now and year end, or between now and January.
Make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We post one video every day, keeping you up to date on everything crypto. Follow us on Twitter for second-by-second updates. We're close to hitting 2 million followers on Twitter. Follow us before 2 million on Twitter, and you'll be getting in early on Altcoin Daily. But the big question, of course, that still has yet to be answered is, well, if Bitcoin is such a sure thing looking forward, why isn't Bitcoin moving up today? 30-year Wall Street veteran explains perfectly what's going on with Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin hasn't exploded yet, and why there is still so much upside looking forward. Maybe Chamath Palihapitiya needs to watch this video. I think watching this video clip would help him understand everything much more about Bitcoin's long-term value prop. Check it out for yourself and let me know your thoughts below.
Every possible thing to everyone listening that you would want for Bitcoin is happening right now, meaning the government is supporting things. The financial guardrails are shifting. We've got news after news every single day about the financial guardrails becoming more digital economy. It's things that are necessary for the network effects to kick in. All of that has happened. We still see inflows from retail. We still see the banks now opening it up for people to go through. But there's clearly a bunch of whatever it is, OGs, Bitcoin miners out of China, whoever it is, large amounts. Mike Novogratz publicly said it. If you go back to July, there have been billions and billions of dollars of, let's say, original investors supporting Bitcoin, regardless of how you want to term it. So I think what people should think about is we don't have an IPO for Bitcoin, but this last 4 months to me feels like sourcing the pricing of the IPO, where the original investors are getting out of large chunks. Now, why is there ever an IPO? For monetization. If someone has 9 billion in Bitcoin, I mean, I think they should diversify a little bit. If it was related to China, guess what China has now that they haven't had since 2014, 15? A bull market in stocks. Guess what else people have? Well, they have the chance to invest in AI. AI is a 10-bagger in many cases. You've been able to do it in the public markets. So I think at some point, Bitcoin becomes a boring asset to people who are looking for 3-baggers, 4-baggers, 5-baggers. It becomes a diversification. So I think this is just a distribution of a few massive holders. And the weaknesses I have heard about Bitcoin as I've gotten into it from institutions, it's too volatile. Not too volatile anymore. We've taken the implied volatility and the actual realized volatility down to 30 and below in some cases. So the vols come down. Okay, what's the next thing? Well, it's too concentrated in ownership. I mean, I've gone through the numbers. When you add Satoshi's wallet, you add the other whales, you're talking about a third of it has been owned by not many people. I think like 10,000 is the number I heard. Regardless of what the right answer is, every month the Bitcoin IBIT outstanding shares goes up. It's up again this month, even though the price is down. So I think everyone that's depressed has actually become entitled. I think they think it's a risk asset. Oh, there's another one. This is just a risk asset. Okay, well, it's not going up with the NASDAQ, so that's good. Lower correlation. Well, it's just digital gold. Well, it's not going up with gold. So guess what? In portfolio theory, for everyone who hasn't bought any yet, I think with your stocks, with your gold, with your bonds, now there's every argument to make. It's lower volatility now, lower correlation with the other traditional asset class, diversification from gold. I think this thing is going to move higher. I was wrong about where I thought we'd be at this point. It's still up for the year. I think once this consolidation is done and we're through the IPO process and the fundamentals take over, next year, once we get through clarity and the beginning of tokenization and the stories of Zelle and everything along those lines, I think we're going to have an acceleration.